so I just started. One thing I can't stress enough is that we are not anti-alcohol. We are against the negative effects that alcohol has on people, especially young adults and teenagers. Our goal is not to preach or to force you to abstain from drinking alcohol for the rest of your lives. We are simply trying to make a compelling argument by addressing the logical aspects of having the drinking age at 21. Be resolved that the National Minimum Drinking Age Act of 1984 not be amended to set the age to 18. According to the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, the current minimum drinking age has saved approximately 28,765 lives in the past 15 years, either from drunken murders, car accidents, and many other occurrable casualties due to intoxication. Keep in mind that in the United States, the minimum drinking age was 18 in the early 1970s. This resulted in an 18% increase of fatal car crashes for 18 to 20-year-olds with alcohol in their system, according to the National Institute on Alcohol Abuse and Alcoholism. Because of this, many advocate groups fought to raise it, and thus was raised to 21 years of age. How does it make sense to backtrack and put back in place a law that caused tremendous problems the first time around? Everyone knows that adolescence is a time for independence and the desire for knowledge and exploration. But the changes in the brain can cause high-risk behaviors and an increased vulnerability for addiction and mental illness, as different parts of the brain mature at different rates. Just because 18-year-olds are legally considered adults does not mean they are physically or mentally adults. Yes, 18-year-olds can be enlisted in the Army, but this does not mean that they are ready for alcohol consumption. They are enlisted because teenagers straight out of high school are the most physically fit and easiest to train. Alcohol tends to affect teenagers much more than adults. Although a teenager may seem like an adult in many ways, and even be more fit than an adult, a teenager's body is still continuing to develop, while an adult's body is not. It takes a smaller amount of alcohol for a teenager to be intoxicated than it does for an adult in their 20s. An average adult's liver can process 50 alcohol calories, or 1 ounce of 40% alcohol, safely in 1 hour, while a teenager's liver can only process about half of that, courtesy of the American Medical Association. A study by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services stated that 72% of high school seniors had already consumed alcohol. This is not a good thing at all by any means, but what would be worse is if the age had dropped and percentage increased, which would most likely happen if the drinking age is lowered. Everything would be shifted down a few years. Instead of 18-year-olds secretly getting drunk, we would see 15-year-olds getting drunk. Say that the driving force behind most teenage drinking is the thrill of defiance. Well, if the drinking age was lowered, middle schoolers and high school freshmen would be the new defiant rebels. Many studies conducted have confirmed that there are relationships between raising the drinking age to 21 and decreased alcohol consumption, traffic fatalities of young adults, and other harmful acts. It is also shown to cause a reduction in fatal injuries as well. The National Highway Traffic Safety Administration states that the current drinking age prevents approximately 900 traffic deaths per year. Driving drunk is one of the worst things someone can do because it is a choice and can be so easily avoided. It is knowing that you have an incredibly high risk of hurting not only yourself but others as well in getting behind the wheel anyway. An average of 10,000 people die every year in deaths related to drunk driving, showing that it continues to be a very important public safety issue. Drinking and driving can be heavily associated with young adults. 18-year-olds only start driving 2 years prior. They don't know the effect a few drinks will have on their driving. They are not drivers who have years and years of experience. Add alcohol into the equation and you will no doubt have devastating results. If alcohol were to be legalized again for those under 18, the percentage of intoxicated 18 to 20-year-olds getting behind the wheel will undoubtedly rise, making the number of fatalities caused by drunk driving increase significantly as well. Allowing the risk for many more people to be killed seems thoughtless and irresponsible. Many may bring up the drinking age of Europe in their arguments and say that our drinking age is comparatively unjustified. It is, however, completely justified. The reason for this is that the way American teenagers are introduced to alcohol is completely different from European teenagers. While European teenagers learn to drink At an earlier age with parental supervision, American teenagers learn to drink in an unmonitored environment with friends. Alcohol is more integrated in European culture than American culture. Americans do not have the tradition of drinking a glass of wine with meals like most Europeans do. One would think that since they learn to drink responsibly, Europeans should not have that great of a drinking problem. However, this is not the case. There is no evidence that suggests young adults will learn to drink responsibly because they legally started to consume alcohol at a young age. Countries with lower drinking ages have just as many or even more problems with alcohol than we do. While a handful of countries may have few alcohol-related problems, in most European countries there is a greater percentage of teenagers under 18 that report being intoxicated in the past 30 days than in America. Studies also indicate that when alcohol is introduced to teenagers at a young age, they tend to have higher rates of alcohol-related problems later in life, as well as increased risk of brain damage. So to reiterate, lowering the drinking age to 18 will not be beneficial to individuals or to society as a whole. Statistics and studies conducted all show that allowing teenagers to drink before they turn 21 will bring nothing but negative results. It affects people, especially young adults, in tremendous ways that they may not understand. Waiting a few years to acquire a drink legally will not kill you, but premature drinking may.